Hello everybody. It's a beautiful day. Welcome to Money Conversations with Magical. Today I will be talking about emergency funds. Having an emergency fund can offer you peace of mind and financial stability. Before we dive into the discussion, let me allow you a few seconds to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss out on future insights on finances. Thank you for your consideration. So an emergency fund is a pool of money for use during times of financial emergency or unexpected financial expenses. These expenses could be things like unexpected medical bill, could be due to loss of income, it could be due to business risk, or something like business disruption. So an emergency fund then cushions you and gives you a soft landing to deal with such a situation. So the question is, why do you and I need an emergency fund? The first thing is that emergency fund helps you avoid financial stress and anxiety. The second thing is that it helps you attain financial stability and peace of mind. The other thing is that having an emergency fund helps you avoid bad debt. You will remember, if you've taken time to watch one of my previous videos on debts, we talked about bad debt and good debt. So most of the time when you take up a loan or a debt during an emergency, you end up taking a bad debt. So then those are the key reasons why it's important to have an emergency fund. So you might be asking yourself, so how much money do you need to set aside for an emergency fund? The rule of the thumb is that you need to set aside at least 3 to 4 months of your monthly expenses, but this is dependent on your personal circumstance, such as your job security, your financial stability, as well as the dependent you could be taking care of. So then it means what one person might set aside is not the same that you might need to set aside. But at least there's that guidance that you need to set aside at least 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses. So where then should you put your emergency fund? It's important that you have your emergency fund in safe and liquid accounts. Liquid accounts are accounts that enable you fast and convenient access to your money at the point that you need that money. So you could put your emergency fund into savings accounts that are high interest giving, and they have the capability of having you access the money when you need it. The other place that I would highly recommend for an emergency fund is a money market fund. I've spoken about the money market fund in my previous video, so you can find time and have a look at that. Money market fund is one of the funds that is gaining a lot of attention due to its ability to enable you access your cash as and when you need it conveniently from your phone, as well as the competitive rates that you're able to get from the money market, even with the current market returns. So how then do you go about setting up an emergency fund? The first thing is that you can start your emergency fund by saving little by little. You don't need to wait until you have a lot of money to set up an emergency fund. Just ensure that you start putting aside funds little by little. The second thing you need to do is you need to automate your savings into your emergency fund. So if you have a primary account such as a bank account, you can place either a standing order or a debit order instructing that the funds go to your money market, to your emergency fund. The other thing you can do when setting up an emergency fund is try and create extra income, maybe through a side hustle, or if your nature of business or job allows, you can do an extra business or take up more jobs. So in essence, then, it's important to avoid these 3 mistakes when you're setting up an emergency fund. Number 1, avoid not starting early and not setting up enough amounts. The other thing is avoid using your emergency fund for other purposes or to pay for other utilities. So your emergency fund should only be accessed if and when you have an emergency. This is not fund you access when you've gone out with friends and you realize there's not enough money to pay for the bills and you access that money. No, this is not money you access when someone calls you and says, please send me 20,000 or 10,000, I will return at the end of the week. You don't do that with your emergency fund. So ladies and gentlemen, having an emergency fund can help you have peace of mind and attain financial stability. So I would recommend that you consider opening an emergency fund for yourself, and I've already given you certain examples of where you can put your emergency fund. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.